dinner parties have always gone so well for us.
Have we ever had a bad one? I don't remember a bad one ever.
No, and I feel like dinner parties are like 90% of what we do as a group. So
yeah, exactly. We don't want to take that away from people.
Of course not.
Don't ruin this for us.
Yeah, don't ruin it. Hey, I just want to let you know as just a really cool side note. Oh, I'm not seeing you guys now. There we go. Your screen is back. Okay. This is book 4, and it's called Valley of the Brain Collectors, and this is what we're on now.
Ooh. Oh, are we starting book 4?
Yeah, well, of course we are. And
well, that means I have to. Well, so I have to make a new.
Really quick, didn't it, Libby?
I have to make a new.
Make a new. It's called the kettle.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I started.
I'm a kettle, short and stout. Here's my handle. Here is my spout.
Tower was done with. Like I know that we went back into the tower, but it was done. Doug, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. So quick side note before we jump into recaps.
I stole Alyssa's kid, and I'm sorry.
You did steal my kid. It was very funny.
I mean, you should know that, Libby. I actually am stealing children now.
Oh, good.
Again. I'm stealing them again.
Yeah, you know. I knew someday it would come to this again.
Mm-hmm. I was on a program. I had a shock collar, but now it started again.
Okay.
Sorry.
And no, you're fine. So that manager that I told you that I made cry.
Yeah, fuck them.
Twice. I've made them cry twice this week.
Oh,
manager, it's only Tuesday. Who did you make cry?
I only worked the weekend. I was off the last 2. Yeah, no. Because I sent her home 2 days in a row, and she felt bad.
Good.
Like,
was she the one that wasn't doing anything?
She wasn't doing any work, Libby. And it's like, that's what happens when you don't do work.
You know,
go home.
When Alyssa was messaging about that, it just reminded me of Jean back at KFC with the, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. And even if you stopped for like 2 seconds to just, you know.
Oh, Jean was on us.
Jean was on us. She was all over you. You should stand there with the tongs on her hip. I said 2 heads of crispy Ray, but
yeah. I just love it how she would look at me with one hand on her thigh and the other one she had with her
tongs,
little thong there, and with the thong, and she'd be like looking at me, shaking her head, and I'd be like, just got the chicken down, and she's like, you just put it down.
Yeah. I
was a bad cook. I was not as quick.
You were a bad cook. Did I show you that?
Well, here's the thing. I was too slow. For her.
Well, you were still kind of new too. You only worked with me there for 1 summer. So I got Doug hired at KFC to work with me, and he worked for the summer. And
that was a bad idea. That was a bad idea.
I actually have a picture in one of Mom's photo albums of me and Doug in the living room in our KFC uniforms.
Yep.
Aww.
He was so skinny, and I wasn't as fat.
I was so skinny, and I wasn't.
I wish I was that size again back in high school.
I tell you what, I'm glad I'm not that size for me. I did not like being 150 pounds. That was not good.
I did.
I like being 150 pounds.
But you also have like 6 inches on me height-wise, and. But yeah,
I'll tell you what, that was fun. Anyways, yeah. So what was it you were trying to say, Alyssa? I don't remember. Oh, crying managers.
I made her cry. She did not quit. No, she won't quit.
Oh, good then. That means you might be able to teach her better.
No.
How are you able to send her home if she's a manager?
Because she's technically a supervisor.
Oh.
So our hierarchy goes the general manager, and then the managers, and then the supervisors. But we have one general manager, and then we have me, who's kind of a manager, but not really, because I don't really know what I am. And then supervisors.
But you're obviously over her.
Well, you're supposed to be. You're not even supposed to be in the theaters, are you? You're supposed to be in the corporate office.
Yeah. But they had all of their managers quit, so they needed help.
Well, You have the experience. I trust that whatever you told her to do wasn't too much, and she should have
they had that
done
list,
her job.
right?
They had a list of like 3 things that they needed to do. And I walked in and I was like, "Did you do this?" And she's like, "No, I thought it was broken." Okay.
Yeah.
Did you clean the warmers? No. Did you do anything? No.
Well, hadn't you already cleaned a couple of those things anyway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was
So no, you're good. If you ever want to invite Doug to Workday, I can ship myself over to you and I'll pop out of the box. And
oh my God, yes.
I'll have a stick in my hand and I'll just start swinging it at people as I chase the workers around.
So you sent her home 2 days?
Like Saturday, 2 days in a row.
Saturday and Sunday. What was the reason for the second day? Same thing.
Because we're slow as shit and they weren't doing anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like literally, we're only doing like 70 people a day, which means that in your shift, you're probably seeing like 20 if you open.
Yeah.
You have no reason not to do anything. Do something.
Well, anyways.
It's fine.
Everything's going to be better with that, I'm sure.
Does she work tomorrow?
We're closed tomorrow. So I'm working with the general manager.
Oh.
On our receiving day for the orders that I didn't put in this week.
What do you possibly need to receive? You can't do concessions.
Exactly. Nope.
I mean, toilet paper, I guess, and
nope, because I'm already stocked up on all of that. So
receipt paper? I don't know. I mean, it seems.
Oh no, we try not to do receipts because you could technically transfer something via the paper.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well.
Oh, I meant for like the credit card machines of like somebody. I mean.
Yeah, we're not supposed to really hand receipts out unless somebody asks for it specifically. I know. It's such a rough job.
There you go. All right. I've updated level 9 finally with the combat abilities for Tor and Kylon, which those shortcut buttons take about 3 seconds to update. So those are done. Hopefully,
I like you guys minimum damage is 26.
Yeah. Isn't that a good sign whenever minimum damage is 26 with Kylon? Yeah, it's good whenever you have like a plus 23 to your damage. So, and that's what he's now up to.
Yeah.
If the thing's not evil. If the thing is evil, then his holy sword will even do worse. So, So there you go.
What did I purchase?
That's a good question. Who knows what you purchased? Oh, we're going to try not to be too snotty during this session. All right. So, does anyone want to do a quick recap of what happened, including the 5-day journey back to Torch from the Choking Tower?
Yes. So we wake up and we go to the battlefield and then we go to the tower and we find lots of cool stuff that I'm pretty sure that Delstria kept like 90% of it and we sold everything else. And we take a very nice leisurely stroll back to Torch because it was absolutely necessary for us to take a nice leisurely stroll.
It was the quickest way. It was the quickest
Which Dell was not pleased with.
No.
Oh, I could tell.
Got the Torch, and then you had a small surgery, very invasive outpatient surgery.
And after a very stressful 4 hours, where Study almost had her head blown off.
No, it was fine.
It was fine.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, absolutely. Because cotton candy is disgusting.
That's right. Sorry. Because cotton candy was disgusting, and then
and then we spent lots of time in Torch, and we bought lots of stuff. And Kylon got new armor, and we got new talismans
And Bear got new claw.
And Bear got lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Bear got all of the stuff.
Yeah, Bear pretty much was.
What was that? What was that talisman from Tor?
The breath of life. The lesser breath of life. Life's breath.
It's
whatever.
Lesser talisman of life's breath.
There it is. Okay, I have it in my.
So we spent 5 days in Torch.
I recommend you wearing that talisman.
Ooh, you know what? I don't know if I'm actually wearing that. I should probably update my sheet. Now that I'm thinking of it, I think I have the stupid one on. Ray, take your stupid Kit Kat. Anyways, we spent 5 days in Torch, and then we go back to the river, and we find Dussek's son, who wanted to hang out with us.
Yeah,
but Delstre was not particularly fond of him.
Aldril?
Yeah, I like him. And then it was 3 days to get to Eidenvay, and then we go to Eidenvay, and we try to go to the map maker, but the map maker didn't have what we wanted, because that's unacceptable.
It's 622.
I'm so glad it's 622.
That's good.
And then I went to my parents' house, assuming that my companions were with me, but my companions decided they were going to go to the farmer's market instead.
You heard me behind you say...
They had enough of that drama.
We're going over...
Did I?
Regardless.
But that's where we pick up, is that Sunny is sitting with her parents.
No, that's not where we...
Oh, that's where we left off.
Our left off is the dinner.
Oh, we fast forwarded to the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then we pick up.
Did we
joining our heroes at the dinner?
Because I figured that our like Del, Tor, and Kylon would kind of wander towards Sunny's house after a little bit to kind of meet her outside.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to spend time role playing that out or whatever, you can.
I didn't know if we could just say that we wander down there and she sees us outside and tells us to come inside for dinner. That her parents invite us for dinner.
You have hours before dinner. So if you want to do things before dinner, that is absolutely fine.
I don't think there's anything that we particularly need to do at the moment. I mean, we already talked to What's-His-Face.
Dussek?
No,
Hosket. Or Hoskus. Not Dussek, sorry.
Hosket. Hosket.
No. Somebody wouldn't let me talk to Dussek because every time I'm like, is it Dussek? And he's like, no, it's not. It's Enter other random blood guard.
There's more than one barbarian in this world. I am very sorry for that. But yep. There's definitely more than one. Yep.
Okay.
Are Hawk and Talon there?
Yeah.
Great. This is an awkward dinner.
As a matter of fact, the dinner being hosted by Sunny's adopted parents, her real parents. I mean, they were there all of your life, that you can remember, up until recently. It is a kind of a hodgepodge affair of 3 different tables stretching from right at basically the kettle in their kitchen and the fire all the way through to their past the doorway there of the entrance to their house into what would be considered a sitting area or a living area. It's all kind of just an open room with one support beam in between that the table kind of is edged up along side, and you have a massive amount of people there. So in addition,
especially with many of them being very large,
they're
muscular,
big. Yeah, they're big people. Yeah, there's like several that are just massive.
Hey,
like
Libby, he doesn't need help destroying my family. Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm glad for the help.
There's no space. Everybody's
Dussek is not there. And oh gosh, if he was there, it'd take even more room. But no. But you have Hawk, which is big, and Talon, which is a normal size, but more muscular, so he's a little bit bigger. Then you have this Hulk of a Tor and Kylon, which are, of course, Kylon always wears his armor, And he is in his
pretty armor.
He's in his full plate armor, of course, as he's there having dinner. So, I mean, we're talking about these bulky, huge people, and the two of you and a bear that's pretty darn good size. And then your step-parents, which Buckran himself is not a small man. So it's like you basically have a very full seating area there. And the tables aren't huge. Oh, what a dinner. Can you imagine what it must be like to be in a dinner like that?
It's like Christmas.
Doug, please.
It is like Christmas. Oh, I love it. So yes, it is a little bit like Christmas in that everyone there is set at the table around strangers, some people who might just be strange, and they're all getting along. What was your favorite meal? What stew was it? Was it a stew of some sort? What was it that your mother was making? I didn't write it down.
We'll go with stew. That's fine.
You have a certain kind that you like?
Like a deer stew or a...
Let's go rabbit.
Rabbit stew. That's actually would be perfect. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, good grief, I can't type. I had written, we picked back up, we're having dinner with Sonny's familiar instead of family.
Oh, yes, they're familiar. You didn't know about that, did you?
Hey, plot twist. It's all good.
Mm-hmm. Sonny's got an imp familiar now. So the stew, Buckran has mentioned previously, actually, that the rabbits here, the hairs are just huge, and it's only taken a couple of them to actually fill the 2 pots that your mother has been cooking the stew in, knowing that there would be a large group. And one of the worst sins of your mother's opinion is actually being the cook and not having enough food prepared. So oftentimes you'd be eating leftovers for meal after meal growing up. But in this case, you feel like even her best attempts to overfill everyone's plates is not going to be sufficient with the appetites that have been brought here to this house. That is until you get a look at Hawk as he's carrying in his brother to his brother's seat. His brother's still paralyzed, not able to walk, able to use his arms. But you notice that Talon has already shrunk in size, and he seems like he's almost withering away from the former man that he was.
Poor guy.
Hawk sits Talon down in his chair, and if there was anything with his physical problems that would allude to maybe mental problems or something with his demeanor to quash his demeanor, it wouldn't show today, because he has this big smile on his face as Talon looks across the entire room at everyone, breathes in the smell of the aroma of the stew, and he smiles heartily. And as you see him looking over towards the pots there that are bubbling still over the fire. Introductions are made around the table, and Hawk seems to be, he's there by invite from your family, since you're so close growing up and such. He's pretty much just like a brother to you, Sonny. So he's very familiar, but just less so with these companions that you have at the table now with you. And Kylon kind of sits as far into the living room as possible, trying to get the space where he can get it, and incidentally sits at the end of the table, at the head of the table, the other direction. And there isn't enough room for someone to sit at the head of the table on the other far end of the table. So Kylan is sitting there almost as if it's his table or his house. And you kind of smile looking over at Buckran as Kylan initially takes his seat. And Buckran kind of looks around and finds another place to sit at the cramped table. Tor sits nearby the rest of you, and pretty much everyone is nearby because you're in such cramped quarters. Hawk, though, is the first one to make a comment. Looking over at your group, he says, do you always wear your armor to meals? Is there something that is concerning you here in this town? I think that they think of you as heroes. No one here would be violent towards you.
Oh, Hawk, no. He always has armor on, including when he sleeps. He's always prepared.
Kylan nods, smiling, just as if it's a compliment. He says, well, it's best to be aware that evil is out there throughout the entire world, and it could come at you, especially whenever you're not prepared for your own defense. Smiles back, and Hawk just kind of rolls his eyes as he looks over across at you, Sunny. And he's like, oh, he says, okay, well, he says, I guess that's true. Evil could strike any time.
I don't think Sunlight has ever seen Kylan below the neck.
Kylan smiles over. He says, well, I do take baths and such, but I usually do that in clothing so that if anyone is out by the river or anything while I'm bathing, it wouldn't be indecent. And then I change very quickly, of course, out of the soaking clothing and dry the clothing before I make it back to camp. It takes a little while, but I do it just fine.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's better than Tor. Tor just strips down to nothing, and I've seen that, and he just goes right into the water. Doesn't even care if anything happens or anyone attacks him. You think with Gorham being the armored god and all this stuff that he would be the one in the armor. Tor just groans a little bit, leaning back in his chair, scratches over at Alpion's head. Buckran's like, well, he says, it's good that you all have come back, and he says, we welcome you here to this meal. If anyone has any blessings they would like to perform over their food, they may do so, but in our family, we believe in Aristil, the god of the hunt. We believe that he has brought this food to our table, and he says he does not demand any sort of praise other than just the acknowledgement. He says, for a task completed. He smiles over at you, Sunny. He says, Sunny, do you remember the first time that we put the snares out for the rabbits? He says the cold autumn. He says it was much like this, the cold air coming in and the winds. You were just a small little one then.
Oh, good God. Okay. Yes, I
kind of like that.
I do remember. Yeah, kind of like that. I do remember. I remember being super impatient and you making me wait. What felt like forever.
He says, it was a little bit cold that day, I remember. He looks over at his wife and she shakes her head. She says, I shouldn't have let her go out with you. I still regret it to this day. She could have had frostbite.
I was fine. My ears were a little red, but
Hawk smiles. He says, nothing would numb her brain or her body any bit. Look at her. She's too stubborn. Talon looks over and smiles at him and laughs just a little bit as he rips off some bread and chucks it in his mouth.
Yeah, I'm the stubborn one. We can go with that.
Talon says, well, what about this next thing that you're doing? What are you doing? What's happening? There's rumors about a war coming. You aren't involved in that, are you?
No.
Everyone becomes kind of quiet, and he looks back and forth, and he says, What? He says, what? He says, what? He says, it's not like I could march and get involved. I mean, I guess if Hawk puts me in the back of a wagon, I could still, possibly.
No.
He says, as a matter of fact, I will. If you're going to war, I'll go to war. He says, where are you going, Sonny? I'll be the first to go.
Okay, you're not going anywhere.
Just put a yoke around your neck and pull me along. Points out the door.
Okay, as much as I would love having you watching my back, no. No.
Be like Yoda on your
Absolutely
back.
No, it is much too dangerous, and I need people here to make sure that the city is safe.
This city? Hawk looks around. He says, this city is ready for a change. He says, there's people here. There's hunters. There's well-qualified archers. They could join. They could help you. They'd be willing to.
Really?
He nods. Just as Buckern kind of goes, ugh. And he says, we don't need to be talking about war or any kind of strife or anything like that. This is a time for a gathering of celebration, for people joining together, allies and friends and family. We don't need to worry about that war talk. Talon just says, shrugs. He says, I just saying what I'm hearing.
What have you heard?
And he shrugs. He says, well, it's kind of hard for me to get around, as you might see. So, I kind of put my ear up to the window. Sometimes I hear things I shouldn't be hearing, but I'll tell you, I have this hollowed out cup I use, and I can just lean it up against the door or against the window. You can hear a really long ways with it, honestly. I mean, I'm quite useful with it, quite proficient. He says, I've heard all the gossip. I know who's cheating on who's buried for the last crop. He says, I know about the dog and how many pups it has, everything.
I'm so impressed with you. You never cease to amaze me. But
so what are you hearing about war?
I think more important.
He looks up at the ceiling and he says, I just know that some of the hunters have been coming back. Some of those that, having Libby.
No.
God damn it. He says, I know some of the, there you go. He says some of the hunters, he says, that have traded here. It says some of the outsiders that have met up with the hunters along the roads. He says it seems like a lot of people that are looking forward to some kind of change coming up. They've talked about the barbarian tribes getting together and going on a war path or something of that nature. I don't know. You'd know more about it, Sonny, I imagine, right?
I do. I know all about it.
Your mother's like, well, she says, let's have some stew instead of talking about it.
Okay.
She starts ladling out into the different cups and containers that are all mismatched and hands them out to the group to start eating. The biggest one's going down the table to start with and being received by your group. Talon just looks across at you and he whispers, you can tell me. Just tell me very quietly.
I don't know if Sunny knows how to do quiet, but all right, let's try this. She'll is he sitting across the table from me?
Yes, across the table from you.
He is.
And you are so close to everyone else, everyone will know that you're whispering. As a matter of fact, everyone even heard him whisper. for maybe Tor down at the end of the table because we know how good their perception checks are. So
you froze up a bit on us there, Doug.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone is going to hear you.
Great. Yeah, she'll kind of like side glance to like her mother and then lean over the table and try and do this like, yeah, there's gonna be a whole revolution. It's gonna be great.
He leans forward. He says, "Okay, Hawk and I will be there. Just let us know when."
What part of no did you not understand? No, you're not. No. Absolutely not. It is much too dangerous.
Hawk shakes his head. He says, "You know he's right. I mean, we will go."
No, I forbid it. You will not go.
Forbid it. Buckran at that point just laughs also. He says, Kylon shakes his head. Everyone at the table gets the "I forbid it" comment and thinks of it as a joke. Except for Alpion, which now nudges your leg wanting food.
Don't give him whatever is easily spare accessories. Like,
yeah.
No, Hawk, I'm serious. Like,
Sonny, you can't prevent them from fighting for their village and fighting for their families if they want to. They know the risk. They're grown men.
He says, "It's our country after all also, right? It's not just yours. Is it?"
no.
Wait a minute. Maybe this is Sunnyland. Maybe it's been renamed. He looks over at Talon. Talon just laughs as he goes and he ladles in some food. Hawk says, "Yeah, that's what it is. It's Sunnyland. I didn't know everything revolved around you, but now I know for sure."
I mean, it always has revolved around me, so why would this be any different?
Your mother puts her head down and Buckran's like, "Well, that's really good stew, wouldn't you say, Sonny? Really good. I mean,
it's delicious." Yeah.
He says, "If only the conversation would follow how good the stew is."
Oh my gosh. Okay, we will change topics. I'm so sorry.
How is your grape harvest doing?
Buckran looks up. He says, "This is quite good, actually. You know, we were able to actually get multiple bushels." He says, "Even here in the fall, right before the chill came." He says, "We're going to be," he says, "saving part of it away." He says, "Not sure exactly how much of it we're going to turn into jam, but a good amount of it, I would imagine, this late in the year. But still," he says, "amazing here what grows. Iden Bay is blessed, certainly blessed by its harvest. That continues."
I think my village has received some of your jellies and jams during the seasons. It's quite good.
He smiles proudly, looking over at his wife, and she kind of smiles up at you, and she says, "You have such good manners." She says, "What village are you from?" The first time Libby's been told she has good manners in how many years?
Yeah. 41?
41 years. Ding, ding, ding. She looks at you. She says, "What village are you from?"
Oh, a small little village called Marshfield to the southeast of here.
She says, "I've heard of it." She says, right on the river.
Yes, yes.
She says, "That's a good place to be from." She says, "Do you have a husband?"
Oh.
Now Hawk puts his hand like on his head. He's like, "Oh no, no, no." He's just whispering it. No. She's like, "You should probably have a husband here pretty soon if you don't have one lined up right now."
Oh, well, I'm a half elf, as you can tell, and our timelines for life goals are a little bit
She says, "Oh, you'll be
Stretched out,
fertile for many
so.
years. I imagine that you'd be able to produce many children." She says, "But wouldn't you just feel more comfortable if you had a husband that would be able to be there for you?"
You know, right now I'm perfectly content.
Giggles.
You know,
Kylon out the end of the table. He's like,
Oh yeah, no. Sunny is thoroughly enjoying all of this. Like,
I glare at Kylon. Well, you know, right now I'm more focused on my studies and
focus
you know,
on your studies
and
She
adventuring
smiles.
with my friends here. You know, trying to do what's right for the country before I decide to settle down, as it were.
She says, "Well, maybe that's the right thing to do because, well, you know the fate of most people who go adventuring or play at being heroes."
yes, we all live very long and happy lives.
Well,
Right off into the sunset.
I wouldn't say that we're playing at being heroes. We're
Kylon's like, "We've killed demons and we've killed gods and we've almost killed a dragon. I think we killed close to a dragon before."
What?
He nods. Tor shakes his head no. He's like, "Oh, that wasn't a dragon. Okay. Well, I mean, we've defeated all sorts of things."
You know what? Right now we're just trying to help some friends in Torch and trying to do what's right for them and for the area.
With that, Talon has pulled back his spoon and lets go of some stew as it goes flying past your head, Sunny, and hits at the wall behind you. And then he immediately looks down and he starts eating again, trying to assume that no one saw him. Hawk just gives him a hard elbow and he shakes his head. He's like a 5-year-old. Buckran's like, "Well, he says, well, it's a very good explanation, though, honestly. I mean, for all that you're, all our differences, though, we're here gathered at this table there to share this time of peace together with Aristil's bounty." You can all make perception checks now around at this point,
God.
because you are around in a table of peace.
Oh God.
And someone has to keep Sunny in line as I bump her with my elbow.
So true.
What do you mean me in line? I'm not. Whatever.
You
24.
Let's see here. You're going to hear something, Delstria, because Delstria hears very well. It's those
big old elf ears.
It's those big old elf ears. It's those
elf goddamn ears. Fireball incantation. I swear to God, if I lose my mind.
Excuse me.
I have this fear, Doug.
Well, no reason to have any fear here today. Not at all.
Puts me right at ease.
Just give me just 1 second. I've got to roll the damage dice.
No, Doug, no.
There we go.
What?
Is that what Delstria hears? The damage dice being rolled?
Yes, that's the thing. Yes, she hears.
For you.
Clink,
Go
clink,
clink,
clink, clink, clink, clink. Yeah. No.
What?
Delstria, you're going to hear a kind of a whooshing sound through the air as something big and something tearing through the air lands outside. And the landing, though, isn't anything more than just a small little trot until you hear a knock at the door, almost as if something has flown in very quickly and knocked now at the door.
Delstria is going to stop eating, and
Buckran's going to be like, "Oh," he says, "I didn't expect anyone else. Well, maybe the neighbors were going to join in."
No. Please,
Delshire, you good?
please stay.
Another knock.
I
Very
think,
light, just rapping at the door.
Kylon.
He looks up. He says, eating the food.
Could you get that, please? And I get my bow out. Sending the big armored guy to the door.
Sense motive check. Kylon has his sword still in scabbard. Yeah, sense motive, which is a perception check again.
Ooh,
you got 29, son. Yeah, I got 24.
Sunny's on like high alert now.
Wow, Sunny, yeah, your awareness just peaks as you see Alpion look up at Delstria and then look over at the door, and you see his ears flatten, and right at that moment you sense danger.
I'm gonna say before that, I'm gonna say I heard something.
Kylon nods. He says, "Yeah." He says, "Someone's knocking at the door." As he goes walking over to the door.
Hawk?
Buckran stood up also to go answer the door, and Hawk looks across at Delstria. He's like, "What in the world?" Shaking his head.
I'm gonna stand up and get my bow and please, sir, stay put.
All of you should probably move to the back of the house.
Sounds like, what's happening? As he looks at you all, he says, "Are we doing an archery competition inside?" And right at that moment, Kylon gets to the door and he says, "What archery? No, she wouldn't shoot anything inside unless there was." And he opens the door. And as he opens the door, outside standing there, you see, this is going to be great. You guys
I don't know why we said Kylon.
You see this.
What the hell?
Okay, he's weirdly attractive. And like, I don't know how I feel about this. Okay.
Well, hello.
Whoa. And he looks exactly like that. You see this creature standing outside with folded wings. Just looks like they're just now had been done stretching, and he pulls them back in. And immediately Kylon goes ahead and starts reaching for his sword.
Why is there a demon?
The creature puts up one hand and he says, "I don't mean you any harm." He says, "But if you'd like to quarrel, we can do so."
Should we?
Kylon.
Can we identify
like,
what
Who's
he is?
there? Who is that? Not able to see out the door. The two of you can see clearly, and Talon and Hawk can see very clearly also the doorway.
Dad, I believe that this is for us. You guys are going to stay put. Stay here.
The voice says, "Oh, I'd much rather come in and see everybody."
Nope. We're going to go outside and we can have the conversation outside. Kylon, do not let him in.
Leto says
Leto.
You are not Leto. Kylon says, "You are not allowed in this house. Get back." With that, the creature steps back a few steps. Both of you can make knowledge checks if you'd like.
Oh, God.
Which is religion.
Oh.
I put points in religion. I'm so proud of myself. Yeah, I rolled a 2 on that. Look at me go.
Yeah, I rolled a 2 as you spit out some of your...
11.
Oh, my God.
I need to put more points in religion.
I put all of my points except for the one that I needed. And
Religion's not a class skill for me, so I don't get those few extra.
I don't think you have to worry about religion because both of your allies have like all their points going into religion, and both of them recognize this creature, like the kind of thing that it is, although there isn't really much time to discuss that. Tor has risen up from his seat, and he starts stepping towards the doorway, and now it is like an effort of everyone bunched up in the house as now plates fall to the ground as Hawk rises up quickly looking for some kind of a weapon, and you see he grabs a knife. Talon there looks around desperately and holds up a plate.
I'm gonna look at Hawk and say, "I don't think that butter knife will do any good, bud."
Jesus. Jesus.
And
we'll be back.
Your mom lets out a little screech. She says, what is this? What's going on? What did they bring to our house? As she looks over at Buckred.
Let's
the creature outside says, "Oh, a very pleasant individual. If you just let me in, I would be able to share this meal with you and converse."
Okay. Again, you're not coming in.
We're coming outside.
Lato has already started.
Kylon.
Again. God damn it. Kylon is not Lato.
Are we channeling Will tonight, Doug? Like,
I'm thinking of Will so much. I miss Will. Kylon is going to be pushing back up against him now. And you see that Kylon's hand starts to glow, and the creature's like, "Oh," he says, "No need for that. No need for that. I'll get out. I'll get out there in this. Oh, smells so good out in this city. Oh, what are those flowers?"
By this point, I would say Delstria and Sunny and Tor are at the door and going outside.
Yes, you're at the door and leaving now. The last of you, Tor, leaving. He looks back and he says, "I'm so sorry." And he shuts the door behind you. And you hear panic inside now as Buckran's like, get my axe, get my axe.
Oh, Aristotle, bless all of them. All right.
Excuse me.
Let
the play heroes.
A screech from one of the villagers as they go running off. And you hear another person yelling, "Get the guard, get the guard!" As another person runs off another direction. This creature that's standing here just very lackadaisically, he says, "Oh, I see. I've attracted attention again. Well," he says, "everywhere I go, I seem to be the highlight of things, except for whenever you are around. Each one of you seems to draw a lot of attention yourselves."
Yeah, we do that. Clearly, our time is short. What do you want?
And he says, "I would say it would be quite short. I'm so sorry for disturbing what seems like a wonderful meal. It wasn't my exact goal here to show up in such a disruptive manner, although it is actually quite amusing just to see everyone running about. Oh, what little short lives they have." So he says, "For you," he says, "all of you," he says, "I really don't have any concerns with your lot, to tell you the truth. My only concern is with this one." And he looks over and he points at Kylon. And Kylon's like, "What? The only thing that we're going to have to deal with is how quickly I'm going to put you out of your misery, you piece of evil, wasted." He's like, "Oh, okay, got it. Okay, I'm a bad guy, got it. I'm really bad." He says, He says, "Well," he says, "anyways," he says, "that's not what everyone says after a night or two, you know. But we have to have a little conversation, you and I. And like these wonderful ladies have said, they've surmised that our time is short, and I guess I better get to it." He says, "I have come here to deliver a gift to you." Looking at Kylon, he kind of nods. He says, "Yes, to you." He says, "Something that you would just really appreciate." He pulls over to his back, making Kylon flinch as Kylon grabs out, draws his sword, and Tor, you can tell he steadies himself there just with the cestus in hand. He says, "Oh, no," he says, nothing. He says, "Just a little thing."
Can I set a note of this?
What's that? Go ahead.
Because I want to see if he's like...
You could also make a covert check if you'd like.
No, my perception is significantly... Oh my god. Nat 1. Sonny has no idea. Like, just...
Neither one of you. Both of you are just wondering, where is
I rolled
he
a
even
2.
Where's he even pulling that from? As you both look at him differently. And
no
Sonny,
pockets in that loincloth.
Sonny, you're pulled into his form and you're like, "What is that?" And he pulls from underneath where his private area should be. He pulls out this this bag, which seems to grow and grow and grow, and then it turns into, it looks like it's come from some kind of an extra dimensional space. And where he would put it under there, you have no idea, but he pulls this bag out and he
handy haversack.
Handy haversack. And he pulls it over pulls it over and just kind of holds it out and just shakes it towards Kylon. Kylon says, I will not receive any kind of gift from a demon. Oh my God, I am not a demon. I'm Krindalik. He says, that's my name. Not just that's a demon, or that's a demon with wings, or that's a seducer. He says, I only seduce part of the time. Now here, I'm just going to drop it on the ground right here. And he drops it and it hits with a thud. He says, if you choose to take it, you can. If not, I really don't care.
Is he an incubus?
Krindalik, who sent you?
You don't know. He says, who sent me? He says, our mother. And he points over at Kylon.
Our mother?
He nods. He says, yes, our mother. He says, it seems to be that her magic is waning. And Kylon, what a stupid name that is. Kylon, you're going to notice that you're going to start having some physical changes, some small little adaptations that start occurring. As her magic fades, you're going to start to resume more of what I would call a true form. Kylon says, what do you mean? Who mother? You don't have any mother. My mother is not your mother. Krindalik is like, oh God, he's dumber than I thought. Okay. He says, anyways, he says, I have some suggestions I'm supposed to deliver to you. He says, let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Oh, yes. You're supposed to rise past the perception of what you see, and you'll be able to find out that your soul is unmarred. You are as you've always been. Kylon's like, I'm just who I am right now. Of course I am.
Kylon, says, let him talk.
Krindalik says, anyways, from evidence of your conquest, you're strong enough to thrive. Not really allowed to tell you too much more, only that you are a first. You're like a brand new thing. Wouldn't that be just amazing? And here you are, a brand new thing, a pulse running contrary to the nature of the plains. A result of your father's will pitted against your mother's desire. He says, anyways, and he makes a symbol of Iomedae, this demon does. And he says, you need to continue your God's work. And in time, she'll probably listen to you and she'll hear your cries and quiet the pain. He says, anyways, it's important to know that you aren't cursed. You aren't some damned soul or anything like that, Kylon. You just are a result of something very strange and honestly something that is way above what you need to be concerned with. You just need to know that you're kind of an oddity and that's just the way you're going to be.
So, Krindalik is Leto your father as well?
He smiles. He says, can you tell from these wonderful good looks? He says, no. He says, sadly, I was a result of another conquest by mother. But Leto is a very special one for mother, I must say. Her most not only equally matched, but maybe one that was overmatched to her. You should be proud, Kylon. You come from prime breeding stock. Kylon, you can see the anger in his face as he now flames, which don't affect this creature. Flames now come over the great sword and imbue it with power as Kylon stands there now shaking. Krindalik says, well, he says, you can't tell if someone's lying or not. You can tell if they're evil or not, right? As a paladin, well, I'm not lying. Maybe these others can tell. These
Stelstrom is pretty good at that.
Since now in the distance, you see torches lighting up, and you hear the sounds of the guardsmen as now they're starting to come towards the house. You don't see them yet, except for just the torch lights, but you know there's two different troops of archers coming your way.
Sunny's going to move up and put her hand on Kylon's arm. Let him go. We will vanquish him another time.
And Krindalik says, oh, yes, vanquish me. Oh, he says, and he says, one other thing. He says, He says, remember, this is not a curse. Oh, I already said that, didn't I? Well, anyways, this is not a curse. Just it's going to seem like such a curse, but you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Stay true to your faith. It's something that Mother would like, and then eventually you'll get to see her and your father one day soon, I'm sure.
Do you know where his father is?
Oh yes. He nods. He says, oh, he says, there have been books bound with the flesh of, oh, no, never mind. I cannot tell you anymore. But yes, everyone knows about where he's at. I mean, everyone but people in this room as well. He says, I've said too much. He says, it is such a pleasure meeting all of you. It's especially you two lovely ladies. He glances back and forth and he says, yes. He says, one day maybe. And he turns as Kylon's like, wait, I need to know what you need to stop there till we can. And Krindalik looks back and he says, no, he says, I don't really stop. That's not really my thing. I keep going. Kind of like you. Just keep going, Kylon. It runs in our blood. You'll find this out. Soon enough, you'll figure it all out. And he stretches out his wings now as Tor grabs a hold of Kylon's shoulder. And Tor says, it is not a combat. He is not fighting you. Kylon says, I don't care. I want to kill him.
Kylon, no.
No, Kylon, he didn't come with any ill intention.
Krindalik looks at you, Delstri, and he says, that's the truth of it. He says, I'm just relaying a message. He says, no ill intent. As a matter of fact, I'm being helpful. Look at me. I'm being helpful. As he stretches out his wings now, he says, I'm being helpful. As he goes, and he, with one powerful whoosh of his wings, powering them back, he takes flight into the air. As you see, archers draw closer within 100 feet now of you, running towards the peaceful gathering at your parents' house, Sunny.
I just want one day in this city to go normally. Why is this so hard?
Kylon looks down at the sack that's left and he shakes his head and he looks up at the sky and you can see he's just like shaking with anger. Tor's trying to keep him held back and the guards yell out, citizens cry, this way, this way. And soon enough, you're surrounded by 15 guardsmen and citizens all around this house of this family that hasn't really lived here very long and was just enjoying Sunny's favorite meal that evening. Inside the house, the door cracks open and Hawk is there with an axe in hand.
Good evening, gentlemen.
The guards look back and forth. They say there was a call that some creature had invaded the city, some bird creature or something, a bat-like creature.
Just a trick of the light. There's nobody here.
Oh, let me make an influence check.
Oh, good lord.
They're town's guardsmen. It can't be that hard.
Let's see. Influence.
Yep.
$18?
Yeah, some of the guards kind of grumble to each other. One of the citizens says, no, I saw something fly down there. Something flew down. It's something like a man, but it was like a bat. And there's now some grumbling amongst the guards. And Tor says, we're not in danger. Nothing here. Sorry. And the guardsmen, soon enough, they fade back, going back to their original posts as they slowly walk away. And the 2 or 3 citizens there say, I saw it. I saw it. I know I did, going along with them.
Okay. Kylon, do you want your bag?
He says, no, I don't want it.
Sunny's going to reach down and pick it up.
He turns and he just walks into the house.
This is going to be fun.
Sunny has Kylon's magical bag of
miscellany, which is okay.
I guess scary bag.
Turn to go back inside.
Okay.
We'll go back inside.
You guys go back in and you see some of the plates knocked around and porridge spilt, but I mean, more than anything, everyone's standing. No one wants to sit. Everyone's very nervous, and you get these glances just of something could have been really wrong.
Just a family reunion. It's fine.
Oh, you get daggers now looking at you from Kylon. He's like, that's not my family.
No, it's nope. Alpion, look, food. Go get it, boy.
Alpion, which was sitting there the whole time, finally gets up to reach and get some of the food. You see that he might have licked off some of the spilt food on the ground too while you were gone. And he is the most chill out of everybody right now. Not really noticing anything going wrong with any of the situation.
Okay. Mom, I'm really sorry, but I'll help you clean up. Sunny's gonna start picking stuff up.
Dear is. She's like, what? Shakes her head. She's like, is that normal? Speaking of normal, deliveries happening at this time of night at 5 o'clock. Let me see what that is. Yep, that is all that is. Okay. Yeah, that everyone kind of standing around there, and eyes glance down at that sack now that you have, Sunny. The sack itself looks like a leather bag, and it's just tied with a leather little strap around it. Nothing that looks very fancy, although it is big enough where it looks like there's an object that's kind of sticking out of it and stretching it out. It's about 2 feet long, but it doesn't seem to have much weight to it. You do hear the sound of metal clanging together whenever you are walking with it, and you can feel that there is enough weight there that something is in there, but nothing immense.
All right. Well, as Sunny's cleaning, I'm just gonna break the tension and tell you guys the really good news. The voice is on.
Look, everyone exchanges glances, and Buckran's like, well, he says that's very good. He says that's so you aren't hearing anything. Nothing is tormenting you.
No, it's very quiet in my head. It's very weird.
Tor actually smiles. He smiles and nods his head. He says, "It's very good." He says, "Very good to have that happen." Meanwhile, Talon's like, oh, he says, all right then. He says, no voices in your head then, huh?
Yeah. Nothing except for you haunting me, of course, Talon. I miss you just so much.
He says, good. He says, okay. He says, well, as long as I know I'm still there. He's the first one to pick up his spoon now and to start eating again. And he's the only one that really had no option of moving, so he was pretty much seated in his chair the entire time. Hawk sits back down and he lays the handle of the axe up against the main support there, and he kind of breathes out, and he just shakes his head and he looks down, and then you see he just kind of smiles and he chuckles a little bit about the whole thing as the adrenaline is draining from his body. And pretty much the meal then resumes where it was at. Everyone eats a good helping of food. Light conversation follows from that point, and going up into the point where you're even cleaning the dishes. Everyone seems to be really focused on just trying to make this as normal as possible. At one point, Talon's like whispers across to you again. He's like, that was like some kind of, what is that, your manservant now? What is that? Do those things follow you around?
I mean,
I can see why you're doing what you're doing now. Just why don't you have 12 other women there with you if that's what you have all the time?
Why would I want women? It's not the way I like.
No. Wouldn't you have more like woman warrior? He says, shut up. He says he leans back and he starts eating more.
No, keep me out of your perverted little like fantasy there, Talon.
All right. Well, that's the end of dinner. You guys have a successful dinner, and the dishes are cleaned up, and you're able to help with your mother, Sunny, to do that. And she at one point just puts her hand on top of yours and just pats it and looks at you, smiling with kind of a pained expression. But she says, I always knew you were so different from everyone else. She says, it didn't make any difference, though. She says, you were who you're going to be. She says, I shouldn't deny that at any point.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
You think of that, but then you remember her talks with Buckram that you've overheard, and all of a sudden you're just not, yeah. Yeah. Maybe she has a battle going on within her heart also. Regardless, the rest of the night goes on, and people pretty much know that you're back there to do whatever it is that you're going to do there at the old well, and they figure that that's better left just not within knowing the details of what that's going to be.
Yep, pretty much.
Making it back to the house on the high hill, or anything else that you want to do before leaving, I should ask.
I don't think so. I'm good.
Your boys
just thanking Delstria's parents for their hospitality and for the dinner.
They're all, it seems like they are, like kind of a simple farming family, but they're very genuine, and both of them want to have a good time. They don't want to have this be like marred by the unintended visitor or anything of that nature. So as you're leaving, they wish you well, and you get some glances, Sunny, some smiles and glances there as Hawk and Talon stay behind just a little bit longer. And it's kind of just odd, you think, that they're staying there. But right as you're leaving, Hawk decides it's time for Talon and him to go home. And they really aren't going to stay and talk about you, something that you kind of feared they would do. They get kisses on the forehead from your mother, the same as you do, and hugs from your father, the same as you. And the two boys are off to their house that is close to section 9, I would say, over there. Number 9. So just a small little journey down the other road in town. For you and your group, you stay closely guarded by Kylon and Tor as they're positioning themselves as if you were in some kind of tower, or maybe you're going through some kind of spooky forest where danger could be there at any edge. And instead, you're walking up this one road up the hill, and just like always, there are some people peering out their houses at you, but you're in a very idyllic village setting with lots of greenery that's still fighting that cold wind that's blowing through now. And you make it up to High Home, where you're going to be spending the night.
Or, going to going to the well during the nighttime.
Yeah, you could do that, of course, if you decide to also. Yep. Mm-hmm.
When there's less people about to see what we bring out of the well.
It's
That
not the
could be a
worst
good
idea.
plan.
What, Alyssa?
Oh, I said that's not the worst idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you guys do?
I think we need to have a little bit of a powwow before we skedaddle over to that well, though.
Okay.
So I figured that we'll probably go upstairs.
Change into your combat attire.
Sure.
Okay,
Let's
sure.
go with that.
You slip in there, and the priest is nowhere to be seen. You're the only ones in the high home.
Probably good that priest man isn't here, because I'm still not super thrilled about him. Kylon, are you okay?
He ate most of his food. I mean, that normally is a good sign, right? He just shakes his head. You can tell that he's still thinking everything over. He says, I just don't know why. He says how that thing could know names or know where we were at or anything. I've never seen anything like that. I've just been warned about demons. And I know that was an incubus demon. They only form whenever a mortal has sex with a demon.
Huh. Okay.
He looks down and he says, that's all I want to say.
Okay. If this isn't something you want to talk about right now, that's fine.
He looks over at the sack that you're carrying. And he says, I guess I want to see what's in there.
So Delstria is putting two and two together in her head with, that means Kylon's an incubus too. Technically.
Yes. I'll hand him
an anti-incubus
scary bag.
He opens the bag, and the very first thing that he pulls out that's sticking up longer than anything else is it's two blades made of cold iron, and the blades have one end of them. The blades are inward facing, and in one end of them, it has they are attached. It looks like with a bolt through them, and then there's a divot right around in the middle of one of the blades, and then at the other end, it looks like there's almost like a two edges of a handle, almost like their blades are.
Is this a pair of scissors?
It kind of looks like a pair of scissors, in that it's shaped that way, but there is a cutout portion on one of the blades, like a indentation there. But they're made of cold iron, and they're about this big. So they're much bigger than a pair of scissors, and definitely wouldn't be held in one hand like scissors would.
So like gardening shears.
Yeah, more like the size of gardening shears. Yeah. The next thing that he pulls out is it's a large blacksmith's file with just many different holes there where someone would, and you've seen this before, Sonny, multiple times in working with Tor. This is actually a file that someone would use on metal, and it is made of cold iron also.
Huh.
And it has jagged grooves on it, making it a pretty large size file. If holding it in your hand, it would be about this size, like the
big metal
the file section of it, a big metal file. The third thing that he pulls out is this it looks like a party mask. And the party mask is this reddened face of a demon with two horns that rise up from the top of it. And it looks like some kind of a face mask, like a thin, kind of a porcelain-looking party mask. And then the last thing that he pulls out is a prayer book of Iomedae. And it looks like it is old. It looks like it has been well used, as some of the pages are singed and there are notes that are actually written within it. And as he flips through it, you see that there's multiple words that have been highlighted on each page.
Was that your father's book, Kylon?
He says, I don't. And then he flips to the very front and he looks at it.
Property of Leto.
Property in crayon.
Yeah.
He looks at it and it looks like there is an L that is distinguishable from this soot and this heavily damaged inner cover. It looks like there's something that somebody has tried to write the name of the owner, and there's just an L there that is very clearly visible. He sighs and he looks down and he holds the book close to him. He says, I don't know. He says, I need to pray about this. I don't want the idea. I've got to compare this to other books just to see if anything's been changed. That demon has probably changed the wordings or something of it, and tried to make it to where it's a bad spell book or something. I can't detect any evil on any of these things, but I mean, they could be cursed or something. So he looks to Delstri. He says, are any of them magical?
I'll cast Detect Magic.
The face mask.
I point at the face mask. What school of magic is it emitting?
Yeah, give me just 1 second. Doug's not prepared here. Doug's not prepared for what's happening.
None of us are. It's okay.
Oh. You can make a spellcraft check, and you'll be able to know the school magic regardless, but this is a specific item you might be able to tell.
Knowledge?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
33.
Holy moly. It's like a new record. Yes, this is it's a magical face mask that is called a false face. And it uses illusion magic. And the false face, it's actually a oh no, damn it. It emanates no magical aura. Well, I screwed that up. Well, you rolled so high. Fuck it. Okay, well, screw it anyways. So you got super duper duper high on that. Okay, the good thing is it doesn't emanate magic, but it does remind you of something that could be magical. So you're going to find this out. It is a false face magic item. As it says, its true usefulness is revealed only when it's worn. When the person dons the mask, she instantly assumes the appearance of a single specific small or medium humanoid creature. Each mask has a single face that can't be changed once the item is created. It works otherwise like a disguise self spell.
Okay. I'm going to tell Kylon it's a magical face mask, but when it's created, it's basically attuned to disguise you as someone. It'll make you look like someone else, and it's always going to make you look like that person when you put the mask on, but you don't know who it will make you look like until you put it on.
Huh. He says, there's no one that I need to look like. He says, it just looks like a demon's face to me.
Well, that's just the mask itself, but once you put it on, it will act like a disguise spell. And you'll look like someone else. But
he looks at the mask and then looks at you.
Do you want me to put it on?
Sunny has the popcorn out now. She just gets back from the microwave with the popcorn and she's like, mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Kylan's like, no, I don't. He says, I don't want you to put it on. But he says, I don't know. He says, maybe we should just put all these things away or just bury them out here. Maybe leave them under in that well.
What?
Oh,
no, Kylan, no.
I
you're
think
not
you
leaving
should
them behind.
You should keep them. It seems that your mother wanted you to have these.
He says, how would that creature know my mother? That's not, no.
Well,
he says,
Kylan,
first you say that my father was a ghost, Delstria, and now you're saying that he's something worse.
I never said your father was a ghost.
Well, it sounded
Kylan,
like you said he was a ghost whenever you talked to that other ghost that lied. So
Kylan,
I don't.
Kylan, I've always been honest with you, and I will continue to be honest with you. But it seems your mother wanted you to have these, and we can talk more about this later, but it seems that Krendalik is your half brother.
What? Well, that's impossible.
No.
You can tell that he's just saying that's impossible, but he already thinks it through well enough, and he says, well, that just couldn't. He says, I'll think about this. I'll pray about this, and we'll see.
Do
Pray
that.
about it, but
I pat him on the shoulder and say, whatever happens, Kylan, we have your back, and we'll be there for you.
He says, I'm the same person I've always been. There's nothing to worry about. He says,
Exactly.
I'll help you through to the end on all this. He says, well, this doesn't change anything. He leaves into his bedroom, and it isn't much longer,
Sunny,
that Tor comes to your bedroom and knocks on the door.
Has
Good evening.
Kylan grown a tail?
Tor comes in, and he's dressed basically just in. Well, he's dressed more decent than he normally does when he's sleeping. But let's just.
We're not sleeping. We're going to the well.
I know he's changing. He's changing. Yeah,
we're resting while Kylan prays.
Yeah. Tor walks in, and he pretty much is. You can tell that he's going to be changing into his armor and stuff, and he's stripped down a little bit. He comes in and he shuts the door, and he says, Kylan's been acting odd at night.
What do you mean?
He started talking about he said his back was really itchy.
Oh.
He says since we were on the boat, he said that maybe there was something that he caught from one of the sailors. He's been very odd at nighttime.
Is he like talking in his sleep or?
No, he says he doesn't change sometimes out of his full plate. He says there's something wrong with his back.
Maybe he was hurt more in the battle with Oh fuck, Furcus. Then we thought maybe we should check him out.
Tor just says, I think something might be wrong with him.
Of course,
he's trying to
out of
hide.
character. He's probably getting ready to sprout some wings because
he says, I think he's hiding something.
Well, judging, so let's see if Delstria has put this all together like the players have. Let's see, what would that be? And
a religion check again?
Oh, good lord.
You can do it.
Nope.
Delstria is like, well, we need to go down in that place and we need to talk to Soho.
Nat 20 on religion. So Sunny can put it together.
Oh my god. Sunny, yeah, you have the bag still, Sunny. He didn't take the bag.
Do we have a picture possibly or name of what the blades are?
No, there's no specific name of well, yeah, you would know that these are things you've never seen before, like the blades themselves.
Well, I mean, just so we can see what they look like.
I don't really have an artwork for you on that.
Okay, but I'm just going to keep imagining garden shears.
He is the resident artist, so she could draw them, of course, and get an idea of what she thinks they look like, and then I'll laugh. But I love to see like what she thinks things look like. That really does help, I think. And I agree. I wish there was some way that they could. They're basically like garden shears. Yeah, think of them as garden shears.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make a drawing at some point.
Here, I'm pasting a picture in our Google.
Oh no, not Libby. Not Libby. Libby, you are not an artist. Do not draw.
Hey.
Mr. Carr only loved you. Only loved you because you were so nice.
What do you mean I'm not an artist?
Hey, listen. I'm just kidding. No, much bigger. Straight blades. A divot cut in the middle of one of them.
Okay.
And not handles like that. More like chomping, like handles pulling them together. Yep. Oh gosh, here we go again. Okay. Sunny.
There's a picture.
Yes. Hello.
Sunny.
Greetings. Yes. Hello.
You are very concerned.
Yes,
As a matter of fact, you're very concerned that you think that that everything that's being said is matching up a little bit too well with what you kind of were, well, kind of like the worst case scenario. This is all making sense. You picked him as an NPC. This is all horrible.
Of course we picked him as an NPC. He's part Leto. Leto is always a good NPC to have.
And here's proof that Libby can draw whenever she wasn't gimpy and had arthritis.
Are you talking about when you were 16?
This was in college. In a college art course.
Now see, that is great. Why don't you draw like that anymore, Libby?
Because I have arthritis.
No.
Oh, and there's the painting.
Oh God! Now Libby's going to do her art show. Okay. That does look very nice, Libby.
What is even happening right now?
I have no idea what's happening. Would
you offended Libby?
I know. You, Sunny, what would you like to know?
I see your runny nose. I'm so sorry. I was distracted.
I have a runny nose too. You can tell her.
I know, we all have a runny nose.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to wipe your nose too, Doug?
No, mine is already dripping too much to wipe.
Okay. Doug, I'm sorry. What was your question to me?
You have a bag.
I do have a bag.
Mm-hmm.
What about the bag?
What would you as a player want to know?
really, as a player, I want to know what the two blades are used for.
Shearing things off. Definitely shearing things off. All those
his wings.
One with the divots to be put in that place before they're closed and cut off.
Oh God, not only his wings, what about his tail? Oh no! My poor Kylon! Shit. Okay.
You know that Incubus, you don't know about Incubus itself, but if it's like putting things together, you know that souls are tainted and almost, well, they're destined to be evil. The resulting union of those kind of things. It's almost like their soul itself is tainted. It's formed in hell. For that not to be the case with Kylon would be, well, you're sure Kylon's a good person.
Well, he has the blessing of Iomedae.
Right, as he's mentioned multiple times.
I don't really care about the blessing of Iomedae. I don't think it's a real blessing anyways. But
as you look through the book, because I'll help you along with this, as you look flipping through the prayer book, you see passages highlighted. And the passages that are highlighted, even though you aren't a complete Iomedae nut, you see the words highlighted again and again, such as endurance, steadfastness, righteous suffering, those sort of things continually highlighted in the book.
What was that again? You said steadfast.
Specific topics, basically steadfastness, righteous suffering, having endurance, perseverance, those kind of terms are highlighted again and again in the prayer book. Those are the things that have been marked, and those things look like they've been marked. Even though this is an older prayer book that's seen a lot of wear and tear, those things have been just recently highlighted, like freshly made marks in the book.
So if
the false face,
the files for
also
the horns
intrigues you.
So if these were Leto's belongings, this is out of character pondering, obviously, because Delstria can't roll for shit on that.
Delstria don't believe in faith. She believes in facts.
That's right. Maybe I should change my deity to atheist.
I love it.
If these were Leto's belongings, and if Kylon was with Leto when he was like a child or a baby, because I don't know if Kylon, I can't remember what Kylon has mentioned about his father, like as far as like when he has memories of him. But
he doesn't. You would know as a character, you would know that he was brought into this order of basically this order that called the order of Leto. And he was basically as a babe, he was brought to the order.
So I'm going to throw out a suggestion or possibility for Sunny's Nat 20, possibly that these were items that were either Leto or Kylon's mother gave to the order to remove his demonic traits, so he wouldn't look like an incubus, and that the false face may be of Kylon, to make little Kylon not look like a little incubus Kylon.
Or Or let's rabbit hole it even further. Someone stole baby Kylon from their mother. Because what do we know about Nadiri? Because Nadiri is hopeless love. Does it have to be between two lovers, or could it be like the love between a mother and a child?
I think it's specifically between two lovers. Yeah.
Oh, JK then.
I mean,
all right, my rabbit hole's not quite as deep then.
Obviously, she's known where Kylon has been this time to be able to send Krindalik to him. So
not necessarily though, because technically, if they really didn't know where he was until the Torchbearers really became popular, I don't know. I got nothing.
Would either one of you like to put on the mask?
Well, I don't want to do it without Kylon's consent.
Alyssa would really like to put on the mask, but no, Sunny knows better than to touch things.
Yeah, Libby wants to, but she doesn't. But Delstria doesn't want to.
Oh, it's so tempting looking at that red mask with the eyes stretched wide and the horns rising up from it. Such good detail on the mask. Not some cheap party mask. This one looks just amazingly well done. Okay. Well, then we will get along, little doggies. You are able to prepare, and everyone changes, ready to go down into this hole. And this well that you're going back down into in the nighttime, you imagine that you'll probably get the attention of some of the guards and such as you move through town, and they'll know that you're down there. But with nighttime, though, and so far into that farm, you don't think they can see much from the roadway, no matter what you're hauling out of that place. So you are once again going deep into number 2 is the area, and the question is, what is your goal? What are you guys trying to do? Because I don't think that was ever really discussed what you're doing here at this point.
Well, we have the scroll of dismissal to send the invisible stalker back to his dimension.
Okay.
So Delstria is going to have told the group while they're up there getting ready that she has an idea. That using one of the HEV suits and the rift boots, that she could get past that door and see what's on the other side of that room.
So I really like where your thought process is, but the problem is the fact that if something goes wrong, you are on the other side of that room, and we can't open that door without the possibility of infecting / killing / doing whatever to everyone else.
I can use the boots again and come back on the other side of the door. I hate when Doug giggles like that.
The rift boots, by the way, the rift boots are a technological item also, just so you know. They're not magical.
Right. I'm looking them up again here just to make sure I know exactly.
They're so hard to find, and they're only on that one site. It's just crazy.
Do you know why they're so hard to find, Dougie?
Because they were taken out of the AP.
They were taken out of the book.
But they were still printed as an item in the book.
Yes.
The rift boots might be a not rechargeable item, is what I'm thinking. Just because they are ridiculous for what they do, and the price is not accurate.
You mean they don't take batteries?
No, they don't take batteries anymore. You're right. They don't take batteries, but they do have a set number of charges when they're created. So they are...
There's 10.
Yeah, there you go. 10. 10 sounds like a good number.
It's capacity 10, usage 1 charge, 2 charge, or 4 charges. So you can spend 2 charge. Using the rift boot is normally a standard action that expends 1 charge.
It's kind of like a very short-range dimension door.
Right. The wearer may spend 2 charges to activate the boots as a move action or to extend the distance traveled from 10 feet to exactly 100. Okay.
Yeah.
The wearer may do both by expending 4 charges. Okay.
Which is that last part. I'm like, that doesn't. Okay,
no.
Sure.
So doing just a single charge, I could bloop to the other side of the door.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right. But what happens when you boop to the other side of the door and then something terrible happens and then we can't get to you?
Has that ever happened before to the group?
Yes.
I can use the boots to come back.
But what if something happens to you where you can't come back? That's the problem. I'm telling you right now that Kylan is going to lose his mind if he can't reach you.
It's fine.
No.
Okay.
She'll be in the HEV.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If you want to rift through a door, have at it. But if you murder the town, it's on you.
What would be the goal of rifting through the door? I guess that's the other question.
I want to see what's on the other side of this room.
Okay, yes. Okay.
And see what
Belcher doesn't like not knowing.
That does make a lot of sense now. Okay, yes. Yes.
Because there's a door. There's a door on the other side, right? So I want to see what that door leads to.
There is a door on the other side.
Okay. So while we are descending,
Let's get you guys over here where you're somewhere safe. There we go.
How are we getting her back to Torch?
So I was just thinking about that. So we can just carry her back, but
does someone have a necklace that they could communicate with somebody with? I don't know.
I do. In fact, although it's a bracelet because I can only have one neck slot item taken.
Okay.
Doug.
Maybe you should talk to Delstria, Sunny.
Yes. So if we would prefer a quicker solution to get her back into Torch is to have Valdrin pop in and take her.
If he's willing to do that.
Pretty sure all I have to do is ask him. Would you like me to ask him?
Yeah. You can ask him and see if he's willing to help us out with that.
Well, he's obviously been able to teleport to Idenvay in the past, or at least close in the area, right? So he'd be able to find you here around the area. You might only have to stay in town, a little bit longer. Okay.
All right. Well, in that case, while Delstria is putting on her whatever suit.
HEV. Yeah.
Yes, the whatever suit.
Well, I'm going to put a battery in it, so let me mark a battery off, and we're going to see if it fixes itself like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
It does?
All right.
It does. Yep.
Okay, good.
It actually does. It takes a while, though, because it's completely trashed. I think
we're going to put the battery in it, and then we're going to head to the well so we can...
Yep. Humming sound as it seems to repair itself and mend tears and such. It's a slow process, but I mean, it's not going to be like hours. It's just a little bit of time.
Okay. Sending a message to Valdrin as Delstria is playing with the HEV suit, asking him if he's in a position that he can come to Idenvay and help me move her body.
Yeah, the message replies. He says it is not the date night that I would expect with you, but I think that he says doing something like this, like we talked about, it's well within my abilities. He says I can be there within an hour. And that's the only conversation you have.
Yep, that's the only conversation. So I'll let my party know that Valdrin will be here in about an hour.
Okay. HEV suit gets charged up. You guys find yourselves going down into the what used to be like an android foundry, which you'd cleared out already, and you make it back to the same section. Oh, let me move you again. Didn't mean to do that.
What?
There we go. You make it back into the hallway with the defeated Gearsman robots, past where the deformed androids were smashed to bits. None of this machinery seems like it is operational or running. So basically, you're just going with your own light source there as Tor has cast daylight on the entire area. It seems like it's going into some kind of power down mode again, whereas this was more active before whenever you're here. Tor has out the scroll in one hand, already drawing it out, the scroll of dismissal. And as dismissal works, as long as the creature willingly fails its will save, which means it just wants to go back, it will have a complete success, except, and this is something you'll never know about, there's a 20% chance that the creature might go to a plane other than their own home plane.
Oh, no.
Oh.
But 80% accurate. It'll be fine. Be fine. Okay. Be fine.
Delstria, are you rifting through a door while we take care of Soho? Or did you want to be a part of the Soho conversation?
I was going to wait to go until we get this taken care of.
Okay.
Okay.
So you guys can watch through the window if you're concerned about me going through.
Aw. Okay.
Hi, Kylon. I was going first, but that's cool.
Well, you know how you going first gets you killed, Sonny.
Fair. Go through the goddamn door.
Okay. So you get into the room again that is quite still, and you hear the voice from one corner of the room saying, "You've returned. What is it? Will you free me? Does my master come to release me?"
No. Unfortunately, Zeld lost his mind and we had to kill him. Again.
Zeld,
he was already dead.
He was already dead.
But we found a way to send you back home.
Tor holds up the scroll. And Tor says, it will dismiss you. It will. You have to just let the magic work. We aren't going to betray you. I promise. There's a silence again, and then Zahosho, which you call Soho, Zahosho says, he says, fine, yes, please send me away from here. And Tor then just looks at the group for final confirmation.
Thank you for watching over her. We appreciate it.
You don't see any kind of expression from this completely invisible creature, known as an invisible stalker, which kind of is scary in its own words. But it's soon enough, though. Tor pulls out the scroll, and the tugging of the spirits, them trying to rip the parchment and trying to pull his hands off the scroll, they fail as he gets control over his own demons within, and he starts casting the spell.
I didn't update my sheet to level 9. That was stupid.
Libby! It's because you've been sleeping this whole time, yawning and sleeping.
Oh, I thought I'd updated it over the weekend, but I guess I forgot.
Well, anyways, so the spell is cast without issue. It works because he can cast that level of spell, so no problems at all. And Zahosho, as the magic comes out of the spell, and you see like this blue energy like wrap around the form of this thing that wasn't there before, that must be his invisible body. You hear him say, "Thank you." And as that happens, you see a hidden compartment on one of the bottom sections here of machinery pop open, and you see a stash of materials there, of supplies, as he is dismissed.
Why didn't Delstria get put in that room?
Because Delstria didn't move herself in there.
You weren't paying attention? You were busy? I don't know. I got nothing.
I thought Doug had moved everyone in there.
Oh no, I moved myself because I have no chill.
All right. So there's not only do you have Cassandra, her body, but there's a number of supplies there that I will tell you about that you have now uncovered in this kind of this stash that Sahosho has been guarding. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
There's going to be some good stuff here. There are 5 nanite canisters. There is a time-worn black nanite hypo gun.
The time-worn.
7 charges. And there's a dart gun. Oh, a dart gun.
Dart gun?
Yeah, it's like a needler pistol, Libby, from Star Frontiers. It's a dart gun. I don't think it's anything like that, actually, but it is pretty cool. What else would you need?
What else is in there?
That's it. So that's all that you need, obviously. You would have been able to find that with a DC 25 perception check, but it says that if you find a way to send him home, that he reveals it to you, which is really cool.
That's so nice.
Yeah. Good old Soho. He was just trapped on the wrong side of everything. He shouldn't have made a deal with somebody, though, huh? Nope, should not have. Okay. You can also examine this room that you're in addition to getting a really good look at Cassandra, obviously.
Yeah, I want to go look at Cassandra because.
Okay, first, before we go over there, I want to cast on all of us together.
Okay, just kidding. Hold on.
Delay poison communal.
That's a good idea. Did I mention how many times I'm so glad that you have that spell? That is really cool. Okay.
We've encountered so many poisonous things.
Yes. You cast that on everybody. And then anything else before that?
I'm not going to put the suit on just yet. I'm going to wait until we look at Cassandra.
Okay. If anyone can give me a knowledge, wow, it's going to be a knowledge nature check, and it does use so it's a nature check using the technologist feat. So since both of you have that, you're good to go there, but the others won't be able to make it.
Sorry, what kind of check?
Nature.
Nature.
Good, 24. Okay, and a 20.
20.
All right. Both of you looking over the controls in this room, you remember once again, this is a nanotech laboratory. the dark panels of glass that you see and the tiny buttons that fill the arrays of mechanical devices here kind of hint to what this can be used for. By examining this, you determine that if you're able to power up specific terminals here in this laboratory, which will take about 20 charges of power to power it up. So 20 charges, basically 2 batteries, right? This will continue to consume 20 charges per month that it's in operation. And that will cause all the lights throughout this entire area to work. All the doors then can be opened with just the touch of a hand, and their security protocols can be disabled. That is, except for the lockdown areas that you're going to have here to the south of A12. More on that here in just a little bit. This can actually work as a nanotech laboratory while it's powered. This A14, which is something Delstria would be very interested in. And the rest of this place can actually be used as a Android foundry, which it would produce 1 deformed Android every single week in its operation. You could actually have an Android army that you create. Well, maybe not enough time for an army, but if you kept feeding it power, eventually, yeah, you could have an army.
There's a body for you, son. Yeah, Sonny.
Yeah, Sonny. Yeah, Sonny. You know. You also find out that the nanotech lab can actually be used to neutralize the gas that's stored in the canisters. And the canisters, you find out, are a section, and it looks almost like a adjoining section of canisters, which are all just like what you saw down the south of A12, about 20 foot by 20 foot circular chambers. And there's about 15 of them all joined. And each one of these canister rooms, you see that a number of them have been, from the monitors, it shows that there's 87% have been damaged to the point of leakage. And you could actually neutralize this problem from this control room where you're at. There's only 2 small little problems with that. Neutralizing all that gas by using the processes here involve one of 2 options. One is that you can actually ventilate the gas, and the ventilation of the gas, basically purging the canisters of the gas, would mean it would release a huge amount into the environment surrounding Iden Bay.
But if it's neutralized, it shouldn't do any harm.
The other, that is true. The problem with neutralizing it itself is that it does seem like you would have a process of doing this unit by unit, but it seems like somebody would manually have to enter those chambers to neutralize the gas. It looks like you could not do that from this controlled chamber. All you could do is expunge the gas from the canisters.
Well, good thing we have the HEV suit and I have these boots.
Right. You also, by looking at this, Delstria, by using neutralized poison, you could fix an entire canister by using neutralized poison, casting that spell while you're in the canisters. So you can actually use your own magic to eliminate this, even if you hadn't figured out the mechanical process, which would involve some overrides within each chamber to do it.
I don't have neutralized poison as a spell.
Darn it. Well, anyways, another option.
I think that's a higher
I think it is.
I
think it's a level
anyway.
higher. Maybe.
I think it's 4
yeah.
or 5.
As you two look at this and look over all the screens that pop up to life, and you're able to actually get an idea of the entire complex, you're able to see that, well, you're able to guess that this gas that's been seeping into the water system, this mutagenic gas, it's the reason why Idenvay is so plentiful with plant growth.
So if we neutralize this, then there goes Idenvay's.
Yeah. It might not happen immediately, but you think that over a short period of time, possibly even a year, that Idenvay will turn into any other town. Oh,
well,
no.
They won't know to blame us for that.
In Numeria.
What? Wait, did you just say that they're not going to blame us for that? Are you sure? Because we come into town and then all of a sudden...
A year is not all of a sudden.
A year, you'd be long gone. It's just like the snake oil salesman, you know?
Okay, but we had talked about back when we first came down here that Sunny didn't want to do anything that was going to jeopardize the city.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that the problem is that obviously long-term exposure can actually hurt wildlife and actually can mutate them. Some of them that don't stay away from the bad bits, like the high concentrations of this, what this does to the water system. So it would also in turn make sure that in the future there would be no more mutated creatures running around the countryside.
Or we could just have the mutated creatures. They're not that bad.
They're not that bad. They really haven't been real bad
yet.
Well, the good thing is you have these hunters there with Aristil that are well prepared to take care of most kind of mutated creatures.
So here's where we would have options labeled lawful good, lawful neutral.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Which one do you select?
And the chaotic evil is just opening up all the doors and running.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. So do you understand those options? Do you want me to run them by you again?
So during part of what you were talking about, I had a lot of static and I couldn't catch all of it. So just to make sure that I caught most of it here. In A14, there's basically terminals and panels and everything that we can use to neutralize these large canisters.
I think I said that wrong the first time. Purge is probably the best way. You can purge them from the canisters, clearing the entire underground area. But to actually make them safe to neutralize the harmful effects, you'd have to go in manually and either
right. Yeah. Okay, can manually go in.
Yeah, and you could do that through a spell, which you don't have, or because you rolled high enough that you can go into each chamber and, I don't know, fiddle with the mechanical bits and neutralize each one chamber by chamber. So,
so one of us can either go in and neutralize this gas and then purge it, or we can just purge it, which would then release the gas out into the world, or we can just leave it be.
Or just leave it be.
And Delstria will still go into the room and see what's on the other side.
Okay. Yeah, you can. You have a good layout of what looks like it would be on the other side, and it does look like these. Looks like there are 16 of these in total that show on the map, and some of them look like they are absolutely like there's no feedback from them, and it looks like the canister levels are at 0% within. So it seems like maybe they're destroyed completely, whereas others just look like they're damaged, and there might be a small percentage of like a warning light saying that there's leaks of gas and stuff like that, but there's nothing that shows like some of these have a large amount of this gas. You don't know the rate that this is leaking out, but you think that, this could probably still be a hazardous site for maybe, hundreds of years still.
So, Dulcie is going to turn to Sunny and say, I think we should neutralize this. It's better for the city in the long run.
No, absolutely not. What do you mean it's better for the city in the long run? They are thriving here. They're happy.
Also mutating.
Very, very slowly.
But
your parents live here.
What?
My parents are happy here.
And they're eating poisonous food. We've just ate probably poisonous food.
You've definitely eaten poisonous food.
Okay.
But not much of it.
It isn't killing them.
It is killing them. Very
it's not
slowly.
Really killing them. It's not really killing them, though. I mean, it's,
it's not.
In Numeria, if you can actually crawl to the next town and live the next day or two, that thing really didn't kill you.
But so, I mean, we know that the city has been here thriving for many, many years.
Yeah, I think it's
the food is obviously the food's not killing them. Mm-mm. It might be changing, like
they stay away from the bad water because they knew the bad water had the high, and it looks like that's probably where most of it comes out originally, is into that one place. So
it's in the soil and it's in the food.
It is.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? These people are being poisoned over time and they're mutating. These creatures attacking the city.
Because when given the option of having farms that are going to fail because the soil is crap, or having the option of taking a little bit of radiation, whatever, it's not radiation, but whatever stupid thing is in the soil, but giving them enough food to not only eat like this season, but for the foreseeable future, I will choose the one that is going to let the most of us survive.
Tor nods at that in agreement. Kylan's like, but that's just, he's like, it's just horrible that, I mean, we're actually kind of letting them poison themselves.
I am neutral good, but still,
shouldn't we let them? Shouldn't we? I mean, if they're living in a lie, and then he looks down as he says that. He's like, I don't know. And he turns and he walks out. Normally super opinionated Kylan is now quiet. Tor seems to agree with Sunny, though, completely, because it would allow more of them to live and prosper in a country where vegetation is not plentiful and greenery is hard to come by. Yeah. What's a little radiation or mutagenic whatever?
Mutagenic gas, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dulcie just shakes her head and starts putting the HEV suit on.
She's not going to tell them what she's going to do in those chambers. She's just putting it on. Okay. Well, we're going to have an executive decision made here pretty soon. Okay. And you get the suit on. Tor helps you to suit up.
Put the boots on.
Yeah, get the boots on. Kylan's going to be watching for any kind of things that might pop in and attack. Well, that's all going on with Alpion standing guard.
Got my bow.
Sunny, what are you going to... Oh, you have your bow? Good. Sunny, what are you going to do?
Yes.
I'm not really sure what Sunny's going to do. Sunny's going to...
So we're here in A12, right?
Yep.
This is where that's where the door is, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Sunny and Cassandali's body are probably going to hang out over here. Oh god, I can't go through a wall. Over here with Alpion.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, you see that she definitely would be the size for that bag that Kylon brought, and you think that you could fit her in there, and she's not as heavy as Tor. So yeah, she go in there, no problem. Meanwhile, Delstria, you are ready to go. You can pop on through that wall.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's early, but I gotta pee. Can we take like a 10-minute break?
Of course. No, yeah, let's take a break. Let's take a break. Libby can get some more
Appreciate
coffee. More coffee, and I'll get some rum.
All right. No, I don't want to pee all night.